What's up, everyone? Justin here, back with a special fantasy booking show. My fantasy booking for the breakup. My fantasy booking for the Bayley Sasha Banks breakup. You know it's coming. You know the breakup's coming. So I fantasy booked out a couple pay-per-views and a couple SmackDowns. Not every single week. I'm not gonna book. But I booked them for Payback, and I booked a SmackDown the last week of September. I booked Hell in a Cell. In October, I booked November before Survivor Series, and part 2 will be where I will book them at Survivor Series. Anyways, here we go. Let's start it off. Just want to say Bayley and Sasha are, in my opinion, two of the best they have been since like 2014, 15. Two of the best women WWE has ever had. They are up there with Lita and Trish, in my opinion. Lita and Trish from a different era. They got to do a lot. They were groundbreaking. They were in a Raw main event, intergender match. They were a part of the first ever women's Raw main event in 2004. So Lita and Trish, I just want to say, were great. But all that Bayley and Sasha have done. Look, Trish and Lita are Hall of Famers. No doubt about it. They had Hall of Fame careers. But when it's all said and done, when Bayley and Sasha are retired, I think I'm going to look back on it, and I think I'm going to say, and I'm going to say it right now, I think Bayley and Sasha are better than Trish and Lita for what they've done for women's wrestling. And again, it was a different era. I'm not trying to discredit what Trish and Lita did. They're fucking awesome. It was a different era that they broke into WWE. It was the Attitude Era still. Trish had to compete in a lot of bra and panties matches. It had to be just, I'm sure she didn't like it. She wanted to wrestle like the guys got opportunities. And thank God when Trish won the women's title at Survivor Series 2001, they finally gave Trish her opportunity to work and become a good wrestler and feud with women that were better than her in the ring that would make her better. My point is, Trish and Lita had, not so much Lita, but they did treat her kind of bad when she decided to leave the company, I think in 2006 at the end of the year. Or I don't know when it was, but I think it was 2006. When Lita decided to leave, then they had Crime Time make fun of her and put her down, call her a whole bunch of names, but whatever. It's not that big of a deal. So, what was I saying? Trish had to put up with a lot of fucking bullshit, a lot of horse shit, a lot of stupid booking. She's put in pudding, matches, mud, gravy bowl matches, bra and panties. She had to put up with a lot of fucking shit before they gave her a real opportunity to be a good wrestler and get better. So, enough about that. Someday, I can do a Who's Better show between Trish and Lita's accomplishments and Bayley and Sasha's. So, here's my fantasy booking of Bayley and Sasha, the breakup. So, first, let's start with Payback. It's happening this Sunday, but I fantasy booked for Bayley and Sasha anyway. And they are defending the women's tag titles in real life, but my fantasy booking, I got Sasha and Bayley defending the women's tag team titles against, in a triple threat, Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, and the Iconics. In a triple threat for the women's tag titles at Payback. So, during the match, I'm going to just say during the match, Sasha and Bayley retain and win and retain the women's tag titles. But during it, Bayley accidentally punches Sasha in the face. Let's say Sasha's holding Liv Morgan, her arms behind her back. Bayley's about to punch Liv. Liv ducked and punches. Bayley punches Sasha. So right there, yes, they retained, but that did not make Sasha very happy. And the breakup is still going on. And it's going to come to a boiling point. It's going to come to a boiling point pretty soon in my fantasy booking. So after they retained in the triple threat at Payback, let's go to SmackDown. The last week of September 2020. So, let me just read over this, what I wrote down here. And, by the way, I came up with all this, part 1 and part 2 of the breakup between Bayley and Sasha. I just came up with like 2 ideas that I thought were really good, wrote them down, and then I wrote all this down. Can't really see it, but it's a lot of damn writing. A lot of messy writing. So I booked this whole part 1 and part 2 show. I booked in about 8 to 10 minutes. So, yeah. So let's go to SmackDown the last week of September. Bayley and Sasha come out. And it's one-on-one. It's not a tag team matchup. It's one-on-one. Bayley. But Sasha's in a one-on-one match, so Bayley gets on the mic, and Bayley says, before Sasha even knows that she has a mystery opponent, Bayley just gets on the mic and says, yeah, bring out Sasha's opponent. Bring her out. It's her debut on SmackDown in the main roster. Out comes to face Sasha, and Bayley set up the match and kind of booked it without Sasha knowing. Dakota Kai makes her SmackDown debut. Dakota Kai versus Sasha Banks. During the match, Dakota's in control. She looks more hungry for victory because she just debuted on the main roster. Or this is her debut match. Anyways, during the match, Bayley is yelling at Sasha. You can beat her. You can beat her easy. But Dakota Kai wins. Sasha's very upset she lost because Bayley set up the match. And Sasha did not know who her opponent was. It was Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai wins. So Sasha's upset again at Bayley. But they're still the women's tag champs. Let's go all the way to October's pay-per-view Hell in the Cell for the tag team titles. Sasha and Bayley. Sasha and Bayley defending the women's tag titles at Hell in a Cell against Dakota Kai, who is on SmackDown now and debuted. And Dakota's partner is... Give me a second. Okay, back to my fantasy booking. Bayley and Sasha, the breakup. Hell in a Cell for the women's tag team titles. Bayley and Sasha defend against Dakota Kai, who is newly on SmackDown, made her debut at the end of September. And with Dakota, her partner, who also has debuted on SmackDown, Raquel Gonzalez. Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez challenge Bayley and Sasha for the women's tag titles at Hell in a Cell. By the way, it's not in a Hell in a Cell. I really thought about, before, when I was fantasy booking this, I thought I should really book Bayley Sasha in a Hell in a Cell. But I'm going to put that off and let their feud go on until WrestleMania. So, Hell in a Cell Women's Tag Titles. Your new champions, Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, the new Women's Tag Team Champions. And let's say Hell in a Cell was October 28th. Anyways, backstage, Bayley and Sasha are talking on camera, getting in their car to leave. And Bayley then just absolutely snaps. Bayley grabs Sasha, slams her against the car, puts her hand in the car, slams the door on Sasha's hand. Then, a gimmick window, of course. Then, I would have Bayley grab Sasha. After she slammed the door on her hand, she grabs Sasha, throws her head through the gimmick car window, puts her damn head through the gimmick car window. Sasha's just laid out, bent over inside the car, got her head put through the damn window. I wouldn't, that'd be stupid to like use a blood pack, if she busted a blood pack on her head to act like she's busted open, but I'm not going to do that, because that would look too phony. And I would not book, even fantasy book, I would not want to book women to have to do that in Blade just to get over a storyline or just to get more heat on Bayley. I would not have Sasha bleed even though she got her head put through a window. So Sasha's just laid out and bent over with her head through the window, half of her body through the window. And after Bayley slammed her hand in the door, and before she put her head through the window, Sasha is pleading, begging with Bayley, please stop this. Please stop. I thought you were my friend. And then Bayley grabs her head, puts her head through the car window, and then a whole bunch of officials and refs and paramedics help Sasha. And the camera cuts because it's too graphic to show. Anyways, let's say, imagine it in your head, Sasha's busted open. So the camera cuts away, and then the announcers are like, oh my God, what the hell did Bayley just do to Sasha? That was too graphic and shocking to keep showing it. So then, let's go to, after Hell in a Cell, they're no longer the women's tag champs. Sasha is pissed, but she's injured. She's out. She's off TV a while. Let's go to November, the third week of November. Right before Survivor Series on SmackDown, Bayley has a promo. Bayley comes out. Bayley, by the way, still the SmackDown Women's Champion by Survivor Series. Before it, Bayley's promo, she comes out and says, Sasha is gone. Sasha is gone and never coming back. And she starts laughing. And then Sasha's music hits. She was out for about 3 to 4 weeks. About 3 weeks because it's the third week of November and Hell in a Cell is October 28th. Sasha's music hits. Bayley is fucking shocked. She can't believe it. Sasha's music hits. She comes out with a face mask over her face because she got her face and head put through a window. She has a face mask on and she has tape on her face like she had surgery. And then Sasha gets on a mic. She has a mic with her. She says, I had plastic surgery. And Stephanie McMahon made the match, Bayley, for the pay-per-view at Survivor Series. She tells Bayley, Stephanie made the match for the pay-per-view and it's I quit. And then Sasha drops a mic after she says it's I quit, Bayley, for Survivor Series for the SmackDown Women's title. After she says I quit, she drops a mic and SmackDown comes to an end. Part 2. I will book Sasha and Bayley at Survivor Series I Quit. I'll book the Royal Rumble with Sasha involved. And Bayley, I'll book TLC in December. I will also book after the Rumble. I'll book. Trying to see here what I've booked. So, anyways, part 2, I have a lot more booked for the Sasha Bayley breakup. Hope you enjoyed part 1 of my fantasy booking for the Bayley Sasha breakup. You know it's coming, you know it's happening. Hope you enjoyed this new fantasy booking, part 1 of the Bayley Sasha breakup. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Bye for now, everybody.